Templar deserters?
If not for you, I'd be dead.
Listen, Warcraft Code. I'd just kind of rather die than keep playing this game. Wait. I had to come back to lunch as quickly as possible. And take a short lunch break. It was the only way. Ugh. I mean, I'm enjoying this game. I'm so sorry, Orcano. How's my headache doing? Worse, but thank you for asking. I just took a few more pain pills. It's okay. I'd like to be like, I blame the hinterlands, but as I've already said, and I know this is going to sound pathetic, this is probably only a triple negative zone. Which... I understand. That doesn't sound like praise, but no, that is... the meme and the joke is much worse than that. If this really was as bad as I've been joking to make it out, this would be much worse than 3 negatives. A zone is a lot of different aspects of physical pain. A zone is a lot of different aspects of game design. I could give a negative for encounter layout, for itemization, for visuals, for music, for quest layout. Like, there's a lot of different things I could zoom in the camera on in order to give this zone more negatives than 3 if I felt it was really that bad. It's not. It is merely 3 negative territory. Yeah, as I say, this feels like it's lying to me. Which naturally means we're going to give up on it immediately. I do stand by triple negative, though, to be very honest. I do think this is... So, okay. I'm going to lie. I lied to you. I apologize. Let's discuss intros. Do you think the intro ended when we finished the big fight with the Pride Demon? Or do you think it ends when we leave the hinterlands? I could hear a pretty strong argument for both. Yes, I lied. I am, in fact, Elvis. See, that's the thing. We have a definitive roll credits moment, which most games don't even have. So that's probably the intended end of the intro. Now, whether that is the definitive end of the intro or not, well, that's debatable. Just because a developer intends something doesn't make it true, as the saying goes. However, as has been pointed out, the game hasn't started yet. Which, I know sounds strange, but no, it really hasn't. We are not yet at the point where the game has actually gotten to the game. We're in random exploration mode. This isn't the actual meat content this game has to offer. We haven't even accessed the war table yet. Like, not really. We went to the war table, it's like, hey, go to the hinterlands, and that's it. Die! We haven't had any of the keep mechanics, we haven't had any of the actual quests. Now, I'm not trying to slant this and say that this absolutely does count as intro, but it's relevant. It is important whether or not we count the hinterlands as the intro. Because if it does, then it deserves more negatives. Because, and I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion here, regardless of whether or not this is as bad as the memes go, this is an awful intro to this game. This is a terrible way to introduce someone to Inquisition. The reason I have given so many people the advice of just skip the hinterlands is because the game hasn't started yet. They need to get on with the actual content that exists outside of this point. This does the opposite of sell the player on the game. It's not even really that indicative of, like, the primary gameplay loops. Yeah, the devs flat out tweeted, leave the hinterlands. Or don't be afraid to leave the hinterlands, or however they phrased it, multiple times, because, you know, people were doing exactly what I did back in the day, and what I'm doing right now. Just stayed here and kept doing the content. Now, this is not as bad as it could be. The reason why is because we do have a quest hub up there that says go to Val Royale. But yeah, what you can do is just come here, talk to her, fight like, God, 5 quick mobs, and then immediately leave. To be perfectly frank, if I was designing this game, I probably would have gone ahead and made that mandatory. Like, imagine you fire up the game, it's like, okay, we've got to go help, you know, what's-her-face. We go help what's-her-face. And then you leave, and you go to Val Royale, and you continue throughout the game. Now, that, like I said, that's a mitigating factor, so it's not as bad as it could be, kind of a situation. I do still think this is a really bad intro,
You know,
assuming we count it as
every
such.
dwarf likes caves.
I mean, if it was a better zone, yeah, Evo.
More supplies for Recruit Whittle.
Hell, at some point our inventory is going to fill up and we're going to have to move on. But yeah, this goes back to the discussion we were having right before I cut off. If a developer is flat out telling you just skip the content, maybe there's something wrong there. Because you put the content in the game, the dev, obviously. Like, telling me to just not engage with the content is kind of making me go, And again, that's not even just me from a player perspective, but from a management perspective. Because you think the hinterlands took like a day to put together? This place probably took forever to put together. And yet, they did it. They spent a fairly large amount of time and effort and work on the hinterlands. So, no, I absolutely think this is the first content they made. In fact, I wanted to mention something to you, Warcraft Code. I wanted to say thank you, Doom Rider. Very much, as always. I will put that towards Dealer's Choice. Oh yeah, no, this took forever to craft, I guarantee you. It's kind of a shame, because it kind of sucks. But check this out. So, you know, we know... You know that we know, that they know, that I know, that you know, that we know, that a lot of the early parts of Inquisition were built out of the design documents for the Exalted March expansion that was supposed to be for Dragon Age 2. The reason that's relevant is because I've been thinking about... Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that's not what I thought it was then. I apologize. I've been thinking about that. I've been putting a few pieces together in my head, and from what I've interviewed. You know how you complained about how we go from being a prisoner to being the Inquisitor really quickly? How many of you know that this was actually not supposed to be the Inquisitor at all, but Hawk?
What's that?
Now, if this was Hawk, who at this point in time is already the champion, all of the sudden, us becoming the Inquisitor very quickly makes a lot more sense. We are already well established. The Seekers were already actively looking for us. We've got influence, wealth, power, and a name. Bam! We're the ones who become the figurehead and run the Inquisition. And it makes sense for how quickly it happened because nobody's going to question Hawk becoming the Inquisitor, as opposed to Rando here. Now, as much as I would like to blame executive meddling here... no. Whoops. Hang on. Can't take it. No, let me...
Your abilities are remarkable, Seeker.
As much as I'd love to blame executive meddling, this is fully on BioWare. What happened was BioWare made a mistake that every creator in the history of the ever has made. All of them. All of us. They listened too much to their audience. Some of you probably don't remember this, but the vocal backlash against Dragon Age 2 was very loud. It was so loud that the very first blog post I ever made, the thing that would eventually develop into the show, was being upset and angry at people for being too harsh about Dragon Age 2. It was a big thing. It was a big noise thing. The game sold decently well. And obviously opinion on it has leveled out over the years. But the devs listened to a lot of that noise, and so they walked back on a lot of things for Inquisition. No, it is not, Evo. So, the reason that they decided to push Hawk away from being the main character here was because they listened to people who didn't like Dragon Age 2.
It is fascinating to see how you and the Templars negate magic.
Have you never encountered Templars before?
Only at a distance. I am an apostate after all.
And they never caught up with you even once?
I am a very careful apostate.
Very true, Lothario. If you were paying attention, which I do not blame you if you weren't, several of the points in... as I was doing the audit, really going down point by point for all of the positives and negatives for Dragon Age 2, one of the most common things I was seeing was that it was all the same positives and negatives from Origins, just more or less. I mean, to be perfectly blunt, 2 is in many ways the same game as Origin, just worse. There are some exceptions to that, some specific things which are either noticeably better or noticeably worse, but you get the point. I know you hate me, Lothario. It's okay. I understand. I hate me too.
Make it take you!
I mean, we probably won't Warcraft code. If we do, it'll be a cheap remaster barely done properly. No kidding, Gnas. Yeah, imagine if Hawk was the Inquisitor. All of a sudden, a lot of the foreshadowing and the build-up for Hawk as a character makes a lot more sense.
Interesting reading. Could be worth a look.
Now, if we want to hope for the impossible... So, let's ask this of the crowd. What's your... I call it the ceiling. What's your pie-in-the-sky hope for Dragon Age? The thing that you know isn't going to happen, but it would be like the best possible outcome for you. For the series, specifically. For Dragon Age as a franchise. We kill the Maker, but we never find out who or what they are. I like it. I'm not sure of the answer to my own question. I've already given my prediction that Dragon Age 4 will not be a good game, which I stand by. I've also said, and I stand by this as well, we will be lucky if Dragon Age 4 is as good as Andromeda. And you can take that however you want to. I suppose that is actually probably my answer to that. But hang on, if I can add a caveat. I would want Dragon Age 4 to come out and actually be good. Yay. But what I want...
Damn it, Ritz, where are you?
More than that...
I found Ritz and rescued her from an attack by the Templars. She's fine.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. It's
You're welcome.
dangerous out here for everyone. I'm glad the Inquisition is trying to put things right.
Cassandra. Cassandra. What I want... Who? Later. Is for... I guess what I really want here is I want the Dragon Age franchise to receive the kind of support and backing it really needs to thrive. Now, the opinion canon has been leveled that, you know, BioWare has never actually made good games. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. But what I do agree with is the fact that the only time they ever really made a truly great game in the Dragon Age series was when they meandered and bumbled about, completely screwing themselves over for 6 years.
More supplies for Recruit Whittle.
And I know that's a weird thing to wish for, but compared to the alternatives... Like, we know what Dragon Age is like with severe executive meddling. That's Dragon Age 2. We know what Dragon Age is like without any kind of backing support with regards to the engine, money, or time. That would be Dragon Age Inquisition. So the only really good Dragon Age game, you know, the only great Dragon Age game, might be a better way to phrase that, was the one that they made poorly. Like, objectively, their production cycle for Origins was bad. And yet it made Origins.
We're the Templars. They don't care who they kill anymore.
I found this ring on a Templar I killed.
This is it. Praise to you and the Inquisition for giving my husband justice. It won't bring him back, But his spirit will rest easier now, as will mine.
Doodad usage is pretty good. It probably... Oh my god! Probably deserves a positive. Oh, I know with total certainty the Dragon Age games shouldn't have been as big of successes as they were. Origins 2 and Inquisition all got lucky. All of them, individually and separately, got lucky. None of them should have been the financial successes they were. I mean, there's actually a lot of different things that happen to make these games successful. Financially, not critically. And, like it or not, one of those things was that terrible, terrible advert campaign. I know people who picked up Dragon Age because of, you know, Marilyn Manson.
Thank you again.
So how would I fix the Hingelins? Alright, do I have infinite time and money? Or is this reality?
Nothing to report, sir.
Why, Crazy Norse? I mean, okay, even if this is a bad game, which we'll see, there's nothing wrong with enjoying a game one way or the other. That's how that's always been. Second of all, and arguably more importantly, what's up this way? I don't know. We're gonna be here for a while. We're gonna be here for so long. Okay. How would I fix the Hingelins? So I have infinite power and money. I have the power of the Q. Fantastic. So first I fix, you know, the atmosphere, water, soil, get some more infrastructure going, smooth out all of the power line issues in real life, get a new proper medical industry going. Oh, you mean for the game. Right, sorry. So once all the actually important stuff is done, let's start with the most obvious and easiest choice by far. Don't start the game here. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't start the game at this point in the history. You do the tutorial, right? You get a few basics, you have your initial pride fight. We wake up, we're at Haven. We're trying to get some resources and some support. Okay, no problem. There's this woman who just showed up. What's her name? I forget. But she's here to help us. Alright, cool. What does she tell us to do? She tells us to go get support in Val Royale. We go straight to Val Royale. Not even a little dip into the hinterlands. Just go directly from the intro to Val Royale. Do the Val Royale stuff. Gazelle. Thank you, Giselle. So do her stuff. Yeah, push into Val Royale. Make that a bigger focus on the intro. And then once we hit what is effectively the freedom point of the game, then we open up the hinterlands, and then you start that. Now, that wouldn't make the hinterlands better, per se, but I do actually think that would make the game better. I do think that would improve the overall game experience. I just wanted to start with that because that's the easy choice. That would make the intro stronger and provide a much stronger hook for players and help with the pacing and blah, 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 blah. That's the easy thing. Now, correct, Papaneeks. Now, how do we fix Hinterlands itself? Wait, you can loot rifts? Apparently you can. How do we actually improve the hinterlands itself? First and foremost, improve traversal. Make a lot of optional stuff to make getting from point A to point B much less irritating. I shouldn't have to literally walk across the hinterlands. Now, I know there's the fast travel points, they're not very well implemented. They're also irritating to use. So either change up the fast travel, change the movement speed, enable mounting, enable mounted combat, fix the mount controls themselves. Basically, 5, 6, or 12 different changes, which would all boil down to make getting from point A to point B a lot less of a hassle. Also make it all optional. That's important. It's important that if someone wants to just sit here and walk through this zone, they should be allowed to. But it shouldn't be mandatory. And that's kicker, right? I should be able to just to take my time here, or to scooch, depending on my mood. I should even be able to do both. I shouldn't be locked into one choice or the other. So that's a big thing I would change. The next thing I would change... now we're getting into the really tricky stuff, because the next thing I would probably change is every single quest in the entire zone. Yeah, exactly, Lord Hermon. Yeah, exactly, Papanix. The Nomad helps with the zone design of Andromeda quite a bit, I would say. And I say that very unironically. I enjoyed the Nomad, by the way. I rather liked the Nomad in Andromeda. Make of that what you will. I would probably have completely ejected the tasks from Hinterlands, to be completely honest. Spend all of the time and effort you spent on 5 tasks on a single quest instead. Remember that completely made-up example I gave earlier about the woman whose like mother, or the guy whose mother was taken because they thought she was a mage? And where there were multiple options for how to progress through that quest, and how to resolve it, and how to turn it in. You know, it was a quest. Make it a quest! That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this is the largest scale, most time-consuming change by far. But I would go through
So here we are.
with a fine-tooth comb and try to etch-a-sketch away a lot of just the tasks and centralize, again, the tasks in like a specific area into a quest and make that quest the quest for that particular spot, right?
Cleaning up another human mess.
What would the Inquisition do without our stabilizing influence, Master Tethras?
I assume they just start burning things.
That does sound like most humans I know.
If you gentlemen are quite finished,
Now, don't get touchy. We're just here to lend you simple humans our help.
Before you cause everything to explode.
Again.
Another good idea, Lord Hermon. Lots of red lyrium here. This is fun. Banter's been on point so far.
Delirium. Whoever this dwarf was, he was in over his head.
I did Yale de Patu. The question boils down to, is it a negative or not? We do actually have a category for party AI. Gambit's is like above and beyond party AI, but most RPGs just have the party members do whatever, right? Well, that's this game, and it is within consideration that the near total lack of customization combined with their default AI might actually warrant a negative. We'll see. We're doing... I just said this. We're doing Templars. Jesus Christ, Blade Duel. I agree with you, Evo. As I've said multiple times, and I know you weren't here for it, while I take severe issue with the way that this game presents the people, because they look wrong, is the nicest way I could put it, it does a really, really good job with terrain. I mean, they're doing some, I forget what it's called, but the render radius is actually pretty decent. In fact, I could point to the render radius right now, and it's doing a decent job of rendering all that terrain, which, again, is one of the things the Frostbite engine is actually good at. I know I'm using wrong terminology. I apologize. You know I'm not good with terminology. But it does a good job of rendering the geometry and how the lighting interacts with it. You know, like you can actually see the shading on the grass that's rotating under me right now. Also, the shadows on like that fortress over there, for example. The trees themselves. There's a bit of movement and sway animation to the terrain. All of that stuff is the kind of thing that this engine shines at, which makes sense given what it was functionally designed for. Oh, that was the right way. We will, of course, be grading the mage choice since we've already done it. Looks like up. Or we could... No, we cannot. Okay. Oh no, I think you're absolutely right, Blade Chaval. It is almost assuredly why the developer, not quite a joke of, just get out of the hinterlands, exists. Because they probably expected players to do that. And given the extremely short amount of development time, support, and funding that they had, they probably didn't have the QA time necessary to tell that players would get stuck in the hinterlands. I remember one of the interviews, I forget who it was with, and they said they were surprised that players were doing what I was doing. What I am currently doing. Players would hit the hinterlands and then quest. Now that makes sense. I'm not here to criticize that. Most people, when you're working on a project, especially a program, you don't notice the flaws in your own program because you know those flaws are there. So you just kind of have this mental block of just kind of automatically going around it, right? That's normal. That's why you have a QA team. That's why you have outside people who look at the thing and look at your code and look at your design and point out the things that you don't even notice. But I bring that up because the reason I have given that advice to so many people playing this game is because so many people I know fall into the same habit for the exact same reason. Because this is a CRPG. What do you do in a CRPG? You get to a new area, you do the intro quest to a new area, and then you go do side stuff. Right? So a lot of people walk into hinterlands with the... I shouldn't say a lot of people I know walked into the hinterlands with the objective and mentality of, oh, okay, new zone. Let's go do the thing. And yeah, there's literally progression bars. As you gather stuff, there's progression bars in the upper right, indicating how much of the zone you've completed. The game quite literally encourages you to stay in the hinterlands just by virtue of the design of it. You know? Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go ahead and give the 5 negatives for the hinterland. I apologize, but I think it absolutely deserves it. 3 negatives for the zone. That's self-apparent. But 2 negatives for the fact that the game itself tries very hard to essentially encourage you to stay here. And normally I wouldn't be that harsh about it. This is functionally the second thing we do in the entire game. We're right at the beginning. We've just started. We're getting going. And the game is like, hey, hinterlands.
We need to be together when the Maker comes.
I found a woman's body down the hill with a letter on it.
This letter, Velena is dead. But we were meant to be together. The Maker would not keep us apart. What am I supposed to do now?
Die.
The Inquisition needs men who believe as strongly as you do. Come and help us restore order.
Yes. If waiting here in the hills leaves innocents to die, then I will bring the Maker's word by the sword. My men and I will lend our strength to the Inquisition. Thank you.
Agent acquired. See, that was a lot more obvious, you know, join us kind of a thing, unlike the lady up front. Now, everything I've been talking about is from the gameplay axis, because you know me, I tend to care more about gameplay than story when it comes to reviews, which is admittedly weird, but it's true. But here's the thing. Let's talk about the hinterlands story-wise. Now let's get this out of the way. The zone looks great. Cool. I feel like my vibe right now is to give a story positive and negative for the hinterlands. Story positive is obvious. There are occasional interesting stories and side things and other little tidbits here which are worth a damn, right? But the negative is because it also has those kind of empty, vacuous sections of, why am I doing this? And you know the type of thing I'm talking about. In fact, I bet most of you probably think I'm being too kind about it for the exact same reason. There's a whole lot of, why are we doing this? And then there's some cool stuff. And yeah, I obviously care about story in games. It's so funny to me. For the longest time, I was the kid who kept having to argue that story mattered in games, and I was called the weirdo for that. And I think the monkey paw has curled, because now in my older age, and with regards to the show, nowadays I have to constantly argue why gameplay actually matters in games. I have had people attack me for discussing gameplay over story, or for discussing gameplay at all when it comes to some of these reviews. I have had people say that I have no right to discuss gameplay, that my opinion on the matter is not valid, that someone with the name Lore Runner should only be focused on the story side of things and never actually discussing blah 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 blah. And it's just like, so like I said, the monkey paw has curled, you know? Can someone help me out with this? Hang on, I'll look it up, I'll look it up. I want this off my map. Apostate mages have supply caches hidden in the area. The supplies could help the project. I've been all over this spot, so I'm probably just missing exactly where it is. That's okay. Because I've got a walkthrough. Okay, so I need this one, which is, hang on, I can't zoom in anymore. Yeah, it looks like it's the tower, if I'm reading this correctly. Nope, too far. Immediately. Here it is, I think. Now, I know what I'm looking for, I just haven't seen it. And I know the marker's wrong on this one. I actually remember this. I've got a map for its exact location, but it's only so useful. I really wish I could zoom in more here. It's like right there. Nope, there. There. There we go. I've probably walked by it twice, or 3 times, or 4 times. There it is. There it is.
More supplies for Recruit Whittle.
No, there's no seconds and minutes. What are you talking about? Okay. So that's kind of this whole quadrant done. Yay. There's only 700,000 things left to do. Perfect. There's Redcliffe up there, even. Oh, God, kill me. Okay, okay, okay. Let's go here. I don't know, tomorrow maybe, Evo? Maybe Wednesday morning? How's your day going? In all honesty, we could just decide to move on from this zone pretty much at any point at this point. I don't really think our opinion's going to change on it. Correct, Evo. But I'll probably stream Wednesday morning. I don't have to leave until, like, 11. Is this the worst
The Inquisition can find some way to help these people.
open world game I've ever played? No. Although, now you've challenged me. What is the worst open world game I've ever played other than Just Cause 4? Oh, man. Far Cry 5, yeah. Also, yeah, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, a game I refuse to finish. Because of how much that game was pissing me
time
off.
you stopped playing the wounded party with me, Varric.
Ignoring the times you actually wounded me.
I did no such thing. I questioned you and then brought you to Haven so you could tell your story to the Divine.
What then? Thanks, Varric. We believe you. See you around.
Do not pretend to be an innocent bystander. I could have done far worse, with full justification.
Oh, yes. Thank you for not torturing me. I'm so much happier now.
I think I'm actually going to stick with Just Cause 4. The more I think about it, the more I think I'm going to go in that direction with it. Yeah, Just Cause 4 was pretty bad. Top to bottom. It's still one of the worst games we've reviewed, and considering where we've gone with it since then, that's saying something. That's funny, with Falkenstein. But yeah, I can think of several games that just dive down from this, even just if you limit it to open world games.
That tower is impressive, even as a ruin. I wonder what dreams it might hold.
Well, go take a nap, Solus. And while you're sleeping, stab. I admittedly never thought of Anthem as an open world game since it's kind of mission-based and mission-focused. You can't fix him, Giga. Yeah, that's another thing that would change the hinterlands. Now, this is outside the bounds of reasonability, but I was told I have infinite money and time. The holodeck situation. So, imagine that as you're going throughout the hinterlands and completing stuff, you don't just gain, influence and power, as in the stats, but you gain influence and power, as in the effects on the zone. So as you start to quest through this area, you start to claim camps, and it means something. You start to have patrols in that area. Those patrols can actually help you in combat. They can find random loot for you, and they can go and, clear out an area ahead of you. Like, imagine being able to walk up to a dude and be like, hey, I've got some orders for you. I'm the Inquisitor. And they're like, sure, what is it? And you say, go up to this area and clear this area out. You got it, sir. And they wander off. And there's several ways you could do this, but ideally, there would probably just be a flag, which happens right then and there. The troops run north, and they clear the area. Yeah, exactly. You become the quest giver at that point. You gain... interesting. You gain similar types of benefits as if you'd gone and cleared it yourself, but they did it for you. Maybe if you send them, it changes the loot you give, but doesn't make it better or worse. It just alters it. I wouldn't know on Falkenstein. Yes, Giga Pudding. First of all, Emmett Selk is sexy, whereas Solus is oily. And I'm not into oily. I've never been an oily kind of person.
Right. That's why.
Maker's breath. If I were back in the city, I could just steal some blankets.
I found some of the apostate's supply stores. I can mark the locations for you.
I'll get out there myself with a few men and pick them up. This will keep a lot more refugees alive next time it snows. I appreciate it.
I love it, Blades of All. And then we could charge... that's true, though, Wandering Doll. We could bake the tasks into orders, for lack of a better way to put it. Send out the troops to deal with the tasks, like gathering the food from the rams, or gathering the blankets for the troops, and maybe have a feature. I'm not sure what the best way to implement this would be, but make it so that every now and again you have to go and bail out your own troops. You could choose not to, but then you not only lose out on that task, but you lose some of your troops in the area. And your presence goes down, and some of your soldiers you can access have despawned as a result. Or you go save them, and that actually boosts your overall presence in the area. And now they do better at future tasks. Stuff like that.
Mages, Templars, bandits, demons. Making it hard for a man to hunt for his supper.
Here, maybe this will help.
It more than helps. With this, I can fill these hungry bellies. Give these folks some hope. I didn't think much of the Inquisition. But no one else is helping like you lot. Maybe I was wrong.
So, Giga Pudding did ask a real question. The problem is the answer to your question, Giga, really is everything.
Here you go. The potion and instructions on how to make it.
Silas bless you. Or the Maker. Or whoever. It doesn't matter. Just thank you. I'll give it to her right away. If ever I can help the Inquisition, you have my word.
I think they're similar in the same way that Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario Brothers are similar. And I know I like to cart out that answer several times, but it's true. They're both side-scrollers, but anybody who's played both games knows they're completely different.
Right. That's why.
So I would say that there are only surface-level comparisons between Solus and Emmett Selk. Having said that, I think the biggest thing that pisses me off about Solus, personally, completely personally, versus Emmett Selk, is Selk doesn't really lie to us. He doesn't have to, but he approaches us very straightly and openly, pretty much from word go. By total contrast, Solus, I'm not sure if he's ever said anything honest in the entire history of his career. The man is a non-stop liar. Got it. Doing the quest with Vivienne. No, okay, fine.
Good day.
Yeah, Solus really likes to eject truths a lot. But again, Emmett Selk plays straight with us, and you know I tend to respect that a lot more. It's one of the reasons I like the Aeroshock over in Dragon Age 2.
Nothing to report, sir.
Then let me use my map. Thank you. That's still that one farm rift thing. The Airshot does not need to lie. That's very true. You're right. Iron Bull is the same way. And I tend to like Iron Bull for the exact same reason. Listen, Warcraft Code. Would I tell the truth in his position? That's an interesting question. That's the other thing, though. I don't find Solus sympathetic, whereas I do find Emmett Salk sympathetic. I don't have a really good answer for why, though. It's just the truth. One moment, please. Because both have the same broad problem, which we already talked about.
You deal with the wolves, and our farmers will be safe again.
But at least I feel like I care about one of the characters, whereas I don't care about the other.
The wolves should be back to normal now. They shouldn't be any further trouble.
That's good to hear. I'll send word to the farmers and let my husband know what you've done. It may not seem like much, but you've given this land hope it desperately needed. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hear a lot of people who love Solus are always surprised that he's my least favorite character in this game. He is. I want to punch his stupid, dumb, ugly face. But, like, getting into the nitty-gritty of why, like I said, is a little bit trickier. We'll see what we think this time around. I mean, I don't like Carver either, but I still gave him a plus to story. You know what I mean? One thing I consistently find amusing is if I asked everybody in chat right now, who's your least favorite Dragon Age Inquisition character? I bet you at least one person will mention every single one of them. I just find that amusing, and I don't mean anything by that. It's just, if you look at Origins, most people drift towards similar opinions in Origins. Same with 2. There's a couple of variances, but most people tend to agree on positives and negatives when it comes to characters and companions in Dragon Age Origins and 2. But in Inquisition, nobody agrees on anything. Including me, while we're on the subject. As I just mentioned, I don't like Solus. Also not a big fan of Vivienne. By contrast, I am rather fond of both Cole and Saras. Or Sarah, or whatever her name is. I've always found it strange what some people prefer and don't prefer. Not because I disagree, just because it is always fascinating to see what people like and dislike. For example, those of you who don't like Cole or Blackwall, do you mind sharing why? I wouldn't call Solus racist so much as I would call him a genocidal maniac. But yes.
You really spend most of your time in the Fade?
As much as is possible. The Fade contains a wealth of knowledge for those who know where to look.
Sure, but I don't know how you dream, let alone wander around in there. Especially when the shit that comes out of the Fade generally seems pretty cranky.
So are humans. But we continue to interact with them. When we must.
Game. 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 You need a flower from another zone. That's just the hinterlands in a nutshell. Imagine I turn to my GM. Hey, why can't I do anything here? And the GM's like, oh, you need a flower from another zone. What? That was some interesting physics. Did you see that? See, I can't fake a Warcraft code. I can't make it happen. It has to be genuine. No, Emmett's evil. There's a difference, Gigapudding. That is one other big reason, though. Let's talk about presentation. How many of you like Palpatine as a character? No judgment if you do or don't. I'm just curious. How about Arcturus Mengsk? Or, another good example here. Rendon Howe. Or Loghain, for that matter, actually. How many of you like the Arashock over in Dragon Age 2? The one thing all of these characters have in comparison? Combination? Contrast? The one thing all these characters have in common with each other is presentation. Good actors, good presentation, good visuals. That's what tends to make a good villain in my mind. I know that sounds strange, but I can point... I would like to say that a good villain is well written, but reality doesn't prove that true. In reality and experience, most of the really good villains across all of fiction tend to be the ones that are the best presented. The ones that have the acting. The ones that have the visuals or the sound effects or whatever. The thing that you add on top of that to divorce them from the words on the page. Yeah, Jonolith Arenicus is a great example. John Arenicus is a very basic villain on the paper, on just the letters on the page. But when you get David Warner voicing him, he becomes Irenicus, right? Yeah, to use the old meme, presentation! So, the reason I bring all of this up is Solus's presentation has never stuck for me. It's never landed for me. And I think that is by far the biggest answer to your question, Gigapudding. Because Emmett Selk's presentation is amazing. Right down to the way he walks is all a part of getting across his character. Like, picture a scene really quick where Emmett Selk is just walking into a scene kind of slowly, and he's kind of hunched over, and he looks up like, oh, what? You can physically see the weight just dragging him down, and even when he actually does something, he's just, ugh. And then he just does it. Solus is just another mage. He is... Well, I have a theory about Solus. Here's my big theory. You ready for this? I have absolutely no doubt they knew who Solus was walking into this. I don't think that any of his real identity is part of a retcon. I think that the writers were so focused on making him... on making the plot twist as shocking as possible, that they accidentally made the character uninteresting. Now, this is just my opinion, obviously, but I've seen this happen before. I've seen shows and games and movies and books where they tried so hard to make sure you couldn't see it coming that they accidentally made them worse, right? Made the character just not have anything that clicked with them. This reminds me of an old saying. Some people say that if you see the twist coming, it's not a good twist. I really don't agree with that. In my opinion, if you see the twist coming properly, then that's good storytelling. If there is good foreshadowing, if there's something building up to it, if there's something that gives you the insight into what's coming, that's a good thing, not a bad one, right? Now, there is, of course, such a thing as too much. There is such a thing as, like, someone walking around with a giant neon sign over their head being like, I'm gonna betray you! But other than that, I do think foreshadowing is a good thing. Inevitable yet unexpected, exactly. Solus is just some dude. Yeah, his name is Traitorous McBackstab. What do you do? Well, you know, I pet kittens in my spare time. So you're saying you would secretly hate me, Evo, because I'm loud and make noise? I don't blame you. I secretly hate me too. Now, again, all of that's from memory. We'll see if that actually pairs through in this particular playthrough. I am going to be using Solus regularly because I want to see his banter and I want to see his reaction to cutscenes. But I don't anticipate being particularly fond of Solus this time around either. Who? Random heroes? Okay. Okay. Listen, Warcraft Code. It is certainly amusing, Colgrim, but I'm not sure if I like or dislike it. It's just amusing. Inventory is full. I knew we'd get there someday. Okay. Don't worry, we're almost done with the hinterlands, right? Right? And that's the funny thing. If we were about to wrap up with the hinterlands, I probably wouldn't be nearly as negative about it as I am. But we've been in here for like 5 hours, something like that. There it is. No, I just haven't updated the HUD. God damn it, let me jump to my death! Let me die! Fine.
Just rumors.
Very well.
It's good to have...
I mean, that's probably why that was there, Warcraft Code. Okay, Varric, you don't matter. Cassandra, you're the best. That's one of the strangest comments I've ever gotten, Tim. No offense. You're way too entertaining for me, so I'm going to stop watching your streams. That's a new one. I've never heard that one before. I'll take it. I'll take it. I appreciate you being honest with me. I have noticed your general absence because you've been a regular supporter of me for forever. So thank you, Tim. I do hope you find the productivity you seek. No, it's I do kind of get it. There's a friend of mine who, if they and I get talking, we will talk for forever. Like, we'll just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Oh, it's been 5 hours. So I kind of understand, right? Yo comprendo. But I appreciate the honesty on the matter. I'll just jump down that right now because I think I saw that sub come in earlier off camera. Hollow Cure and Dawn Trail, I think, is the new expansion. I'll put it towards. Thank you as always for the support, Tim. And like I said, I hope you find what you seek. Level 5. I know this is not exactly showering this game in praise, Mikami, but I will say that I do think the hate towards the hinterlands is overdone. I myself joke about it, but to be clear, it is a joke. I am not trying... God dang it. I'm not trying to be anything other than just, you know, poking fun at it. You know what I mean? Sure, Evo. Wow, that sure did change his appearance. That's true, Lord Erebon. We've kind of deliberately been avoiding the dragon area. I suppose I could just head up there and be like, oh, I wonder what's up here. Oh, no. Ugh. I guess I'll give Solus some armor. Oh, yeah. That's what you want right there, isn't it, Giga? Admit it. Admit that's what you want. Oh, man. I need some Parmesan for those abs. Yeah, I'm gonna go wash my my clothes on those abs.
Go be with you.
Oh my god. Oh my god! Everyone? There's something very wrong with our neck.
Could be better.
We,
Right. That's why.
Anywho. Yep, gotta send for the Royal Chiropractor. Sorry, everyone. We're actually an undead abomination. My bad. See you around, Crazadors. I have read all the books, yes, although not in a long time. So I read all the books in preparation for the lore run, which is about 8 years ago at this point. So whatever was out then, I have read. Oh yeah, here, just to... Did that fix it? Looks like the helmet, getting rid of the helmet fixed it. Which naturally means we're gonna put the helmet right back on. Aw, yeah. Holes in reality. As it should be. I assume you mean the one in Trespasser. I'm gonna lean towards yes. Although I only saw it the one time, on stream no less. But I still lean towards it being a well-written, well-presented scene. Alright, so Cassandra's dead. What we call not a good sign. And we're dead. Everyone's dead. Cool. As it should be. Nah, it's fine, Mizuno. That's fine. We got this. We got this. Yeah, I noticed that other than the skull on the target, which is very small and hard to even see, there's not really a lot of indicator of level range. You know, other than dying horribly to it, obviously. Yeah, I remember someone earlier mentioning that, and I was like, maybe I'm just missing where the actual option is that's like, here's what level you should be. Dummy. Moron. Calling myself a moron, obviously. As I often do. I hear that voice every day. And then I say, shut up, me. I'm like, you know, if you weren't so stupid, you wouldn't have to tell me to shut up. I'm like, no, stop it. You can't tell me what to do. I'm like, yes, I can. I can tell you exactly what to do. It goes back and forth for a while. You like escort quests, right? Yeah, no, I know, Colgrim. I know. You'll notice the route I'm taking. It's a good thing to point out, Evo. It's the same thing. It's the same problem that plagues MMOs. Like WoW and F14. Come on. Up here. Ignore the Hell Rift. It's not Kirkwall. Stuff like this is why the Hinterlands is 3 negatives, by the way. Just taking a break. I'm about ready to tie some rope around his horns and drag him. This is just the Hinterlands. In like 5... How long have I been doing this? Yeah, let me scroll up. Where's my timestamps? We've already been doing this quest for 4 minutes. Which probably doesn't sound like a long period of time. Please keep in mind, we've been doing nothing but this for 4 minutes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you having a settle? Are you... Okay, okay, oh, hey, hey. Hey. Come on. No, over here. He's just... Yeah, he's taking a crap. He's just... He's just... Hang on. I know what can improve this moment. Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. Okay. We've got to escort the Bruffalo. Oh, hang on, it's the wrong song. Sorry, hang on. I'm at this one. Come on. Oh my god. What are you doing? Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is it. This is it. This is it! Come on, boy. Come on. Come on. You can do it, boy. Come on. Come on, boy. Come on. I don't know where to take this stupid thing. Oh, apparently it's up here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, hang on. We gotta turn around. We gotta turn it around. There's darkspawn that way. Go! 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 Okay. Okay, we're past the barrels. We're past the barrels. Run! 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 You can do it! You can do it! Come on! Wait! Slow-mo across the finish line with the explosion behind the Gruffalo. We made it! We made it! We did it! Hang on, hang on, hang on. Yes, we did it! Oh. Oh, man. Okay, so that was Dragon Age Inquisition. I do hope you enjoyed. Next, we're playing anything else! I'm sorry. That quest is a negative by itself. I'm sorry. I am sorry. That's trash. If that was in any other game, I would have already given it a negative. The only reason I'm even debating is because I'm like, oh, I don't want to be mean. Ah! We have maxed out our intelligence energy. We did it. We did it. Game over, man. Game over. We have completed the game.
Thank you. I appreciate you finding her, and I'll see to it that this never happens.
I swear to God, if that Druffalo ever gets lost again, I will murder you myself with my bare hands. Why? Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. This guy's name is Druffalo Owner. We just helped Druffalo Owner. With a Druffalo. Yeah, okay. So I don't like criticizing without critiquing. You know how I would fix it? Again, infinite time and money. We gotta have infinite time and money to do any of this crap. But let's assume we have infinite time and money. How do we fix that? Easy. Make the Druffalo rideable. No abilities, but while it does have a limited health bar, it has a special passive effect. Where if you're running, like if you're moving through an area, it has a huge knockback to anything you're in the way. And I would put a bunch of stuff in the way. Like all kinds of enemies, all sorts. There would be bandits, and then there would be mages, and then there would be Templars, and then there would be demons. And the whole time, Varric's like, "Why is everything trying to kill this Druffalo?" And you just bowling pin your way through all of them. That's what I would do with that quest. That's how you make an escort quest.
I have heard that your books are very popular, Master Tethras.
I do all right.
I am glad of it.
Really? No sarcasm? No superior attitude?
We live in a dark and angry time, Child of the Stone. So much of what people believe has come crashing down. If you bring them a little peace with the worlds you make between the pages, you have done more than most.
And yeah, no, I agree with Mikami. Make there an achievement where you can knock down every single enemy in the path. Just charging them. So, I hate to keep piling on negatives. Check this out. So you see how I'm mousing over that astrarium? The fact that I'm mousing that over indicates that we have done that astrarium. You see this one? The fact that I'm mousing it over and there's purple indicates we have not. But do me a favor. Without doing the mouse over at a glance, tell me the difference between those two icons on the map. This actually threw me earlier. I was like, wait, what? Because there was this one over here, and I'm like, I've done that one. And I have done that one. I've also done this one. But I have not done this one. Yeah, one of them is round and a star. The other one is star with round around it.
Prepare yourself.
Have a cabbage salesman coming right down as you're going through with the Druffalo. Making another achievement to not hit the cabbage. And it's really hard to not hit the cabbage, right? Like, the easy achievement is knocking over everything. But the hard achievement is having to not hit that cabbage. Solus, do you want to do your job? Or yeah, don't hit anything. Don't hit anything at all. Just swerving really hard to avoid all the crap in the road. Like, there's this one scene where someone's like, no! And you're like, oh, swerve. And it would be like all kinds of people you want to run into. Like, there would be a giant cart, like a wagon, a horse-pulled cart with tons of china in it, right? And then there would be, like, some uppity, snooty nobleman. And as you're charging down the road, there's, like, a cutscene that plays. And the camera jumps down to the snooty nobleman. And he's like, I am so tired of this culture in this country. I am getting dirt on my shoes. Oh, it's horrible. And then it, like, switches back to you as you're barreling down on him. And the game, of course, again, the hard mode is don't run into him. Much as you want to, you have to resist that urge in order to get that achievement. You have to be like, no, no, I need that achievement. And the whole time, he's just there in slow-mo. No, no, I can make it. I can make it up this mountain hill that I could probably climb in real life. Thank you, Pesnator. Must bow. Pesnator, of course, cannot hear me, but that's okay. We're putting that towards triangle strategy, Mother 3, and Suikoden Tier Crest. Hang on. You know what I would also do? I would make overly French guy, the guy you avoid with the buffalo, I would make him show up for several side quests throughout the whole game, right? And there's a meta achievement for never getting dirt on his shoes. And each time, it's like harder to resist the urge to just mudify him, right? I don't even know specifics. So just imagine there's another quest somewhere where it's like, you have to deliver these pies. But if you move too quickly, the pies will tilt. And then he's right there. He's just like, ah, yes, I have just gotten my brand new robes. I am so much happier with these than the previous ones. I hear that only the finest of Antivan 6 went into its construction. Ha 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 ha. And you're like, if you tilt the pies, you still go right in his face. I just... Oh, whatever. Moving on. Let's do this stupid puzzle. Okay, God damn it. Deja vu, as they say. That doesn't look right. That's because it isn't. God dang it. I don't know what you're talking about, Evo. This is our life now. We were always in the hinterlands. We always will be. This is the world that lies before us. Of course they are Warcraft code. Why would they? Yes, welcome to the world. I'm your host. Yeah. Yeah, I heard there's actually another game in this. I've never played it myself. Oh God, why would you say that, Colgrim? Oh God, bear, bear, bear. The enemy's so dangerous, it got its own mutator to make it even harder. That's not a joke. I told you, I can't fake it, Warcraft code. Well, it's the age-old question, Blade Javal. How bad is it really? I mean, we could move on, but then we wouldn't be doing this game the service it requires, for how goddamn terrible it is. I'm being facetious, but like, it is the age-old argument. You know, it's the same question as why we don't just cheat our way through some things, even though we could, because you know, there's still more there to experience and enjoy and savor, just to really drink it in, you know.
This would make a good place to camp.
That's true, Blade Javal. This bear is not something I want in my life. Oh, okay, yep, we're doing this. We're doing this. Yeah, you notice these bears are, like, the most terrifying thing we fought in the whole game so far. Not a joke. Like, these things are ridiculous.
We should push ahead. I doubt that was the last of them.
We haven't finished killing this bear yet. What does the hinterland stand for? Actually, I can tell you exactly what it would stand for. Something that should have been cut from the game. Or at the very least, pruned down. Don't mistake me, I do think the hinterlands could be made to be good. In several different directions, not just for me. But the moment they knew that they did not have the time to really develop the hinterlands the way they probably wanted to, that's the exact moment they probably should have just axed the zone. We're still fighting this bear. It's not even level skull. In fact, what level are you, Mr. Bear? Level 8. Exactly, Gentle. Like, I mean, at that point, though, we might as well just call that the Star Citizen effect. We just got a claw. 1 of 3. Cool. Yeah, imagine fighting that thing with the trial mode on. We got this. Ah! That's true, Lord Harriman. So I suppose... I don't know. I'm trying to keep the fun in, you know what I mean? If you want, I can just start grousing. Oh, this game sucks. Hate my life. Life is pain. Life is pain! Oh, no, hang on. Got too silly for a sec. Gotta get back to grousing. These are skulls.
Someone help!
You're fine, Cassandra. You're fine. We're dead. It's cool. It's cool. We got this. It's cool. Everything's cool. Mage is so far noticeably better than Rogue was.
Not good!
I mean, lore shock and all, but it is worthy of statement regardless. It's fine. Varric's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Here's a question. Does anybody know if there's any spider caves in the hinterlands? I have no memory of any. Because all the spiders I know of are in other zones. Yeah, I have no memory of the spiders being in the hinterlands either. That's why I ask. Okay, so hang on, let's rewind a second here. I'm just idly curious because we might not have the mod running. I don't really have a way of checking that until, you know, we run into some spiders. It is, Ganas. By the way, if you remember, I didn't buy that defense in Elden Ring either. Yeah, Storm Coast, I remember, is like Spiderland. Storm Coast was the place where I had to do this while playing the game. I remember that very distinctly. That was not fun. So, there's a game show that my sister likes to watch. It boils down to survive in the woods by yourself as long as possible. the person who survives the longest wins a cash prize. Now, they have to do a whole lot of stuff in order to, you know, allow that to happen legally, because threat of death is a very real problem, and blah, 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 blah. It is Lunarith. It's back when the review system was in its total infancy. Hi, Azar. But the reason I bring all that up was during one of the episodes, one of the contestants completely froze up because he saw a jaguar. And the jaguar was like right over there, just kind of scoping him out. And the whole scene was exactly as tense as it sounds. No big dramatic music, none of the usual tricks or cheats that those kind of shows use to make you invested. It was just goddamn terrifying. Because everybody knew that if that jaguar went and lunged for him, he was gonna be dead. Like, he did not have the tools on hand to deal with that problem. Well, it's funny you say that, Lord Harriman, because there was no camera crew. There was just him and his GoPro. So, we could have been watching footage that was found on his GoPro, if you follow me. That's the point of the whole thing. They do a lot of stuff to try and make these kind of things as safe as possible. But in the moment, nobody's going to save him, because nobody's going to find out about that problem until it's too late. He could set off the flare and, you know, have people come to get him, but that might set off the jag. There is actually a mod to change the Fear Demon. In fact, it's the same mod I have turned on, although I should admit that I did not turn on the Fade Demon part of it. Because, as horrible as it sounds, that doesn't bother me. I believe she leveled Czar. Don't quote me, though. Come on. Come on, it's right there. I do not remember the name of the show. I would have to ask my sister. Probably Amazing Racetracks, yeah. Yeah, I noticed that little barrier booster thing. It's almost like they designed a lot of the game around having barrier. Because they knew that a lot of people would use it because we don't have heals. No, because I'd rather die than be on Survivor tracks, yeah. I'm not into the woods in general. The woods has bugs. Have you ever encountered bugs? Because I've encountered bugs. They're bugs. So once upon a time, yeah, I think it sucks, Doom Rider. Once upon a time, there was a, I was saying something in the middle of talking, and someone donated while I was talking. And what I was going to say, the next word I was going to say was the word fear. So I was like, you know, we have nothing to fear, but donation. Fear itself. That's kind of how that lined up. So it became a meme to go ahead and say fear every time someone donated. I stopped doing that because it wasn't really a purposeful meme. It had no real benefit in existing.
That had to hurt!
I'm not sure I know anybody who likes the removal of healing in this game. Which is, as usual, someone in chat's chance. This is your chance. Go ahead and jump in and say, I love the removal of healing. This is it. This is it. You could be unique. You could be the envy of everybody if you just say that you disagree with the common consensus. You could be a rebel. Unusual. Cool. Flashy. Stylistic. Edgy. All the people you're interested in will all be interested in you if you just disagree with this one blanket statement that kittens are cute. Or, wait. All the edge. Thank you, Gorgot. Thank you. Removing the healing is something I think was a mistake, because I've seen several games pull this same trick, and most of them have failed at it. Because if you're going to remove healing, you need to do a lot in order to accommodate that in terms of game design. And frankly, I don't think they did that here. Even Guild Wars 2, vanilla, didn't make up for that. Now, eventually they did. They eventually got there. But it's worth noting it took years and patches for Guild Wars 2 to finally get to the point where the removal of healing was not a negative. There you are. You cannot be a healer in this game, no. Nor can anybody else. There are some mechanisms in the game to accommodate the absence of healing, including armor, which you just saw on Cassandra before it went away in the middle of my sentence. There it is, it's there again. There's also the barriers, which Solus can put up periodically. There's mitigation, there's some life drain techniques, there's a few little things here and there. But if I might be so bold, I don't think they did what they really should have, which is design it sufficiently and well enough in order to accommodate it. Probably at least in part because of the fact that this game was the first BioWare Magic game. It really, yeah, it makes me wonder quite a bit when the decision to remove healing from the game came about, and perhaps more importantly, why. That's not the type of thing you just kind of do all willy-nilly, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, for all my study of this game, and I've looked into this game quite a bit, because I've done a lore run of this game in addition to the current review, I've never found a definitive answer for that. So I don't know. I don't know. This game came out 8 years ago, Linnea. It is easy to always blame the investors or the executives of Warcraft Code. But I don't know. I do not have information. Now, you know me. You're probably wanting me to give some speculation on the matter. So I could come up with two answers right off the top of my head for why they would want to remove healing. So, answer one is the least likely answer, I would say. Answer one is that someone somewhere wanted to monetize healing. And so they decided to remove healing, and then for whatever reason the monetization was removed, so now it just kind of sucks. I don't actually buy that, though. It's too easy of an answer, and there's not a lot of evidence in favor of it. Let me give you what I think is the real answer. Something that is extraordinarily common is someone in the writer's room, someone in the staff room, while they're sitting down, kibitzing and debating a game, will say, you know what would be cool? There's something I've always wanted in a game. ... Doesn't matter what they say. And everyone's like, oh, that's a good idea. And they all jump on it. And nobody really thinks about the idea in question. They just think, that'd be cool, and they go to implement it. And almost universally, this is a bad thing. Almost. Almost. Because there's nothing wrong with trying something new, or original, or different, or variant, or mutant, or whatever. But you gotta think about it. You gotta spend time and effort and work to massage the idea into a workable, functional format. I can just picture the meeting room where someone's like, you know, I kind of hate how there's just always healing in these games, you know? Can we get rid of healing and make the players like have to do other gameplay-y kind of stuff to bypass the lack of healing? Oh, that's a good idea. There you go. That's my running theory. What is that? What's that? Okay. Well, sure. Let's go here, I suppose. Or not. Of course you need to be a knight enchanter for it. I'm telling you, as much as being a necro sounds appealing, we may just become a knight enchanter, and so just so we can, you know, be a knight enchanter. How smooth was the development for this game? Terrible. This is one of... I know we cover a lot of games with rushed, bad, and frustrating production cycles, but let's be very clear. This game might be one of the worst we've ever covered. The production cycle going into Dragon Age Inquisition was a goddamned mess. It was bad. See, that's the brilliance of those kind of moments, Lineruth. Because the idea sounds cool. Right? Multiple players have to band together to pilot a mech in order to beat a raid boss. Sounds cool. But anybody who has any experience whatsoever with MMO design will immediately be like, whoa, hold up, red flag, red flag. Because that would be a nightmare to implement. Now, I'm not saying that it would be the wrong decision to implement it, but that's when you get your A-team on that, right? And you really sit...
Solus, I am surprised.
That's when you really sit and think and process, okay, how do we make that happen? How do we really make that concept work? Because otherwise, yeah, imagine the guy running the right leg, you know?
Decided to remain.
Why? The breach remains a threat to us all.
Just the same. I wondered if you might leave now that we have a plan to seal it.
Ah, because I am an apostate. I might flee before the Inquisition throws me in chains? I take my commitment seriously, Seeker. Come what may, I shall see this through.
As you wish. Though I cannot guarantee what will happen in the days to come.
I've been wondering about that, Papa Neeks. Wouldn't be the first time. You remember the Malygos fight? Back in Wrath? That was a mean fight, too. Fun fight, though. I used to be the one guiding the team to make sure everybody knew where to
This place
lie.
makes my skin crawl.
Oh, God. You know what I find funniest, Evo? Several times today, people have popped in and be like, oh my God, you're still in the hinterlands. And what I find funniest about that is that anybody is surprised by the fact that we're still here. We're not even halfway through this damn zone. Okay, we might actually be halfway through, but like that's about it. No. Okay, stop apologizing and you don't talk too much, Evo. I'm not putting up with it today. No. Bad. Bad, Evo. Bad. Where's my newspaper? Bad Evo. Yeah, squirt bottle. Squirt, squirt, squirt. Yeah, I have an emote specifically for that situation. Sure, we should stay hydrated. Listen, I'm sorry I said I was sorry. Sorry for sorrying so sorry. Because I'm secretly Canadian. No, I'm Eeyore. Everybody knows that. That's true, Blade Chaval. That is a spider. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit the game forever and never come back to it. We're done with it. That's it. We beat the game. We did it! We saved the buffalo! Alright, so audit time. I should probably update the HUD. Let's, so, hang on. So, story positives, we're up to 8. Story negatives, we're up to 1. Gameplay positives, we're up to 14. Gameplay negatives, we're up to 29. Alright, so. Just ignore that. Ignore it. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. It's okay. This is actually something I was anticipating. Oh, gotta resize the window, like we do every single time we load the game. Every single time we've got to do this manually. That's why that negative exists. See you around, Krensler. There we go. That's better. Okay, I feel better.
Make it take you!
Oh yeah, I didn't really gauge the intro from a narrative perspective, did I? Okay. Give a negative to story for the intro. I'm not actually joking. We talked about this earlier. The intro is just too frenetic in its pace. That's not even the right way to put it. There's nothing wrong with having a frenetic intro. It's just, the pacing is weird in the intro of this game. Boom! We've gotta escape the crawling things. That's fine. But then, we're in prison. You will save us. Okay. No matter what you say, you're gonna come save us. Okay, cool. Couple of cool gameplay stuff, and then, alright. And like, almost immediately they start deferring to you, which, again, makes more sense if we're Hawk and not some rando nobody even knows. And, okay, and now you're the Inquisitor. Okay, okay. Could I have dinner first? Like, if you're gonna take me out to the movie, you know. A multiplayer game where players merge into a mecha. No. I will say one thing I do kind of like about the way they approach it is who we were before the explosion is kind of naturally slid into the dialogue throughout the course of the game. Yeah, no, exactly, Equalitas. Like I said, the pacing is just strange. Well, it's funny you say that. So one bit of cut content was instead of Hawk, it was supposed to be the Warden. Now, that's an idea that was tossed around in two separate formats. One of which was you would have to choose between Hawk or the Warden to leave behind. They backed away from that one. I'm not sure if that was the right call or not, but they definitely chickened out on that by their own admission. It would definitely be a controversial take, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And as I've always said, execution matters, so whether or not they actually, you know, stuck the landing on it would determine it for me. Whoops. That was a nug. Sorry, little nug. Didn't mean to kill you. I mean, probably the Warden, Shiny Toki. The Inquisitor only really has one thing going for them. And that's that stupid thing on their hand. Who would I choose to save? If we're talking about the state of the game as it exists now, which I know sounds strange, but hear me out, I'd probably choose the Warden. But in an ideal situation where we could revamp Dragon Age 2 a little bit to be, you know, what it probably should have been, I would be more inclined towards Hawk. Didn't I just do... I did just do this place. That's true. The Warden can heal and do blood magic at the same time. Would I have us be Hawk in this game if I was designing the game? Yes. I've actually already thought about this a little bit, so I already kind of have a pre-baked answer in there. I think us just being Hawk smooths over things substantially, gives us an automatic investment in the situation, explains why so many people defer to us so quickly and efficiently. I mean, think about this for a second. You've got the Champion of Kirkwall, who already has this big, mega, ultra rep above and beyond her station. And then she, you know, essentially accidentally shuts down one of the rifts. And now everyone's treating her like she's the next Herald of Andraste. And the whole time Hawk's just like, I'm just some evacuee from Lothering. It fits the Hawk story very well. Of, you know, rags to riches, nobody to somebody, yada, yada, yada. And the best part is you can then decide as the player, as you can, as the Inquisitor, if you go along with it all, or if the whole time you're like, no, this is all just a coincidence. It would also lead more connections with Varric, and more potential connections with some of our previous characters as well. It would also help to explain why Cassandra and Liliana were so damn invested in finding us in the previous game. Oh, whatever. Oh, God! Oh, God. Okay, hang on. So you say I can get it to unactive, but I think you're lying to me, Warcraft Code. There's a way to tag a quest, but not a way to untag a quest. Alright, Evo. Time to arm wrestle. I guess I just don't agree. Because if you really wanted to do that, and I know this is kind of the default answer, but just don't make it a Dragon Age game. If you really want a new protagonist. And I know what you're saying. Well, so you can't do no quest in the thing? No. But what you can do is you can not have Dragon Age 2 end on a to-be-continued dun-dun-dun. And then never follow through on that. Because they never did. Like, let me put this differently. Dragon Age Inquisition is the wrong game to do your idea in my opinion. Dragon Age Inquisition should follow through on Origins and 2, which it does. Credit where credit is due. If you wanted to do some rando, or some new person, or start a whole new arc, Dragon Age 4, that's when you start that.
Nothing to report, sir.
That's when you should go ahead and be like, alright, commit. Etch a sketch, remove the board, start something new. My opinion. Like, I'm sorry, but so I was trying to get rid of this quest, Warcraft Code, in the saddle, because I will never do this. And if I set it to inactive, nothing changes because it's right there. Just sitting there, staring at me. Mocking me. Hating me. Loathing me. Fearing me. It understands the pain that comes from dismissing my infinite power. What? Sorry. What are we talking about? Oh, you may get rid of this thing? Oh, I don't care about that. Don't care. Honestly, I stopped noticing it like 4 hours ago. Something like that. Having said that, if you decided to argue that we should have a new character in Inquisition instead of Hawk, I would fight you on it, but, like, not universally. Like, I wouldn't be like, ah, you're extremely wrong. I disagree, and we could talk about the matter, you know? Having said that, like I've already said, God, how do I get over there? The biggest flaw I have with, well, Inquisition, by a large margin, is 2. Dragon Age 2, that is to say. Dragon Age 2...
What manner of fire is that?
I have heard of this, but never seen it before.
It
is called Veil Fire. It is a form of sympathetic magic. A memory of flame that burns in this world where the veil is thin.
Kill them all!
Oh, okay. I guess we're doing this now. Yeah, no kidding, Wonder Doll. Rewind. So, I don't agree with you. I think Hawk would fit a lot better than a blank slate character. But I think the problem we're running into is Inquisition was clearly designed for Hawk because of everything I've already talked about. And as a consequence, doesn't work for nobody, right? So if you really, really, really wanted there to be nobody, then what I would say is we need to redesign the intro. We need to restructure the pacing and step and setup and blah, 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 to make this work a little better instead of just kind of being,
Nicely done. The Veilfire
Hawk light. Also true, Janthel. We only have speculation and early production, like pre-production stuff.
The Veilfire must be making the runes legible.
When it comes to things like the Exalted March DLC. We know it was going to be a fairly large-scale expansion type of affair.
Hard, Seeker.
We would be dead if I did not.
We know that it would be a fairly large-scale expansion thing. We know the basics of it, including the fact that it was built up in Dragon Age 2. We know that it was the whole point of Dragon Age 2 was leading up to it. We know that the early parts of Dragon Age Inquisition are built out of the bones of the pre-production material set up for it, but that's kind of it. There's a lot of holes there. No, there's no argument here, Evo. I think the problem I personally have is that I'm trying to come up with a better option than what we have, given the limitations that we have. And you're trying to come up with... you're essentially arguing with me that in order to do that, we'd have to redo the game itself, not just, you know, restructure some of the characters, which is not untrue. It's not even something I disagree with. Hell, you know what we could do? Although, nobody would like this, but it's an interesting thing to think about. We could have started Inquisition as Hawk, and then finished Inquisition as the Inquisitor. Have Hawk more or less literally be the bridge point there, right? Be the segue during the initial Exalted March and the war and conflict between the Mages and the Templars. Over the course of the events of Dragon Age Inquisition, the Inquisitor coincidentally is into power by virtue of being the one with the mark on their hand. Okay. Crap. What do we do? People start gravitating towards the Inquisitor, especially since we, Hawk, support them. And Lord knows we've got that kind of ability and sway to be able to do that. And then something happens to Hawk. Doesn't even have to be death. A lot of people forget there's lots of ways to remove a character from the narrative that don't involve killing them. I think that fiction in general leans too hard on the death button. So, we remove Hawk from the narrative, one way or the other. There's lots of ways to do that. And now it's in the hands of the Inquisitor. We could maim them. We could kill them. They could be lost. They could be doing something else. They could go back to Kirkwall. We could even make it... Hear me out for just a second. What if instead of the goddamned war table, the war table is effectively replaced by the Kirkwall game? Like, you've got a section where it's like, okay, you gotta go do something with the Kirkwall side of things. And that's where your ally, Hawk, who you played as at the beginning of the game, is trying to keep things together in the free marches while you're down here trying to deal with this crap. We could express that in a lot of different ways, too. You could also send Hawk after specific missions. So, you know, we're out here with Varric and Cassandra and Solus, and then periodically there's like a mission which pops up, which is like, hey, Hawk just found out about such and such. Bzzz. Then we switch over to playing Hawk for one mission. Because, remember, Hawk's a heavy, right? Hawk's a beast. So Hawk's off doing the heavier, higher difficulty damaging stuff. And in gameplay terms, probably some of the actually really hard stuff within terms of harder encounters and harder boss fights. And then it cuts back to you, the Inquisitor, as you're trying to keep things together back over here. Yeah, kind of like the series sections. The whole thing would functionally be a Princess Peach segment, just like the series sections in Witcher 3. Oops. Anyways, I apparently am going to the wrong damn spot. Everything I'm talking about would take time and effort, which of course is not possible here, but we left the realm of feasibility a while ago. We're talking about holodeck scenario. Yeah, maybe make it a thing. Every time you send Hawk out, you send Hawk with X, Y, and Z. Those party members go join Hawk. When you get to that section, that's who Hawk gets in their party when they get there. Everyone else you get to keep with yourself as the Inquisitor as you're going through the bulk of the game. I suppose the Warden would be the Bishop, and Hawk would either be the Queen, haha, or the Rook. Yeah, sorry, Solus, you gotta go with Hawk again. Okay. And, yeah, no, like that could have worked as well, Lord Haremont, very, very well. I mean, I don't want to make escort quests to the game, because that's a very dangerous thing to do. But I think with careful work and effort, making a game in which getting the Inquisitor to the rifts to close them could be some interesting gameplay. By virtue of making the Inquisitor, I don't want to say a non-combatant, but like somebody nowhere near on the level of Hawk or the Warden, right? Just somebody who happened to have the freaking thing in the hand, right? I guess it's the left hand, but whatever, you get my point. So the Inquisitor stays behind, you know, functioning as Josephine, like you say. And then it's like, okay, we found a rift. We're going to clear up to it. And it's your job. Ideally, I would probably only have an actual escort quest there either once or, like, for very specific missions. Like, you do one escort quest to get the Inquisitor up there, and then every other time you don't have to actually do the escort. You just clear, and then the game assumes that the escort happened successfully. We cut to the, you know, we cut forward a little bit to the Inquisitor actually shutting down the rift, and we're good. No reason to drag that all out in gameplay. And yeah, I would probably go ahead and make it so... This looks fair. I'd probably make it so the Inquisitor has some stats and supports in combat. Just not damage. I mean, make him a frickin' bard, you know? Not literally, but you know what I mean. Morale boosts, repositioning ideas. You know. I forget which game it was. There's some ARPG game where one of the party members has formations as abilities. And what they do is they break all CCs. So, like, if someone's rooted, it's gone. And then people reposition based on the ability they use. So, you know, the Inquisitor could be like, reform on me! And then the whole party just goes and zips right over there just like that to help you reposition. And, of course, you're the one who is in control of that as the player. So not just your basic buffs and debuffs, but also being able to reposition and recontrol the battlefield. Okay, that's cool. So that time I saw their level pretty clearly. I'm kind of curious. There I don't see it. I don't only see it periodically. I mean, I don't mind or care, really, Croatia, to be totally honest. I do like the additional variety in enemy design from a gameplay perspective. So, it out with you all. Meanwhile, Gigapudding is just determined to make the Inquisitor a child. Who are you? I am the Grand Inquisitor. Why are you laughing? Stop laughing at me! Or I will accuse you of heresy. One moment. I need to go change my pants. I'm not potty trained yet, so I'm still working that out. He's actually 300 years old. I am ancient as the cosmic stars. Inquisitor with Sora. Riku! I mean, Goofy! Good night, Ganas.
We should search the area.
Fine. Area searched.
Been taking notes on all this, Varric?
Well, you'll need to be more specific there, Seeker.
The Inquisition. You're not planning to write a book about us, are you?
Oh, don't get your hopes up. You're not that interesting a subject.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. Goofy's just like, yuck! But Sora, I thought we were friends. I suppose what I would have to do is kind of come up with some investment for Hawk to actually be involved, since my main problem was not the fact that Hawk stays in Kirkwall, but that the game gives us no reason to stay in Kirkwall. Especially egregious because eventually Hawk leaves Kirkwall. So, you know, that's cool.
Watch yourself. Bandits up ahead. Or something anyway. They're blocking the road.
You don't think they're bandits?
Bandits wait until people are vulnerable, then hit them fast so nobody escapes. These bastards show themselves too early. They care more about driving people away than taking loot. They're either stupid, or they're more than just bandits. And they're too well armed for stupid.
What can you tell me about the attackers on the road?
Several groups, some of them with bows. They've got better armor than most around here. It's too many for us. If you head out there, careful you don't get flanked. They don't take prisoners.
Thanks for the warning.
So, what you're referring to is, of course, small world syndrome, Blade Travel. And small world syndrome is its own problem. In my honest opinion, because I've spent a lot of time debating that topic, I think that as a writer you have to decide, do you care or do you not, really? If you care about small world syndrome, then what you effectively do is you walk away from continuity. I know that sounds strange, but it's true. The same people just kind of fade away, and the larger your world is, the more that becomes a thing. Let me put this in very, very simple terms.
According to my research,
Shut up! In very simple terms, in Star Wars, we should have only seen Luke Skywalker once. And everything else should have been different people, each in subsequent movie, book, title, etc. Because small world syndrome is exactly a problem that Star Wars itself has. Everything constantly revolves around the Skywalkers to some extent or another, right? If you don't care, then you don't care, and instead you focus on trying to tell a story which tends to involve the same general characters, settings, areas, etc., and try to have that level of continuity going between the work. So it's a decision. It's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just pick one.
ancient elves may have set up wards near here. If we can find the artifacts they used, it may help strengthen this area against tears.
Oh my god. Okay, hang on. The music's like, I'm gonna spite you. Nope, I'm muting you. We're just muting the music. We're done. We're done with the music. It keeps trying to get in the way of me playing real music. Alright, so. Let's go with... let's do the basic tests first. The one that won't work, first of all. Mass Effect's another good example. For all intents and purposes, Shepard should not be the main character of the Mass Effects, but is because small world.
Go in peace.
Why, Evo? I mean, I do firmly disagree with you on this point. And I will fight you to the death on this point. To the death. It's just, we gotta get the Star Trek music going and everything. Bum, 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 bum.
I believe I sense one of the artifacts of my people. Yes, the wards are helping to strengthen the Veil. This area should be safer for travelers now.
Please don't kill me, Croatia. Well, you know what? I take that back. Please kill me, Croatia. End my suffering. I accept. Killing myself would make people sad. Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. I need to write down amnesia, question mark. So, let me talk this out here, Evo, because I feel like I'm a worthless, terrible, stupid human being. But I think I've got a point here. Hear me out. So, Hawke is already well invested in the Mage Templar War, effectively by circumstance because of the events of Dragon Age 2. The Lady Justina Divinia Barbarella Yabba-Dabba-Doo has decided to call a conference to bring together the leaders of the Mage and Templar factions to try and broker a peace. Naturally, one of the people who is invited to this, probably on direct behalf of Cassandra, who is actively searching for them, is Hawke. Hawke is there specifically because of the fact that she's so invested in the war to begin with, and a lot of people mistakenly believe Hawke deliberately started the war, which Cassandra herself mentions in 2. Hawke is then present, walking through the grounds. Oh my god, totally not Corypheus is doing something with the divine! I'll help you! And now there's this thing in her hand. Where's the suspension of disbelief? Exactly. Because ideally, in a truly holodeck situation, it'd be kind of cool if there were multiple potential protagonists here. Because it's whoever happened to be called into the room. I'm sorry, that's not even like me headcanoning. Sorry, spoiler alert. But the reason we're the one is because we happen to be the one who's called into the room. There's no significance to us. We're not some great chosen one. We're not like some destined person. We tripped. Functionally, metaphorically. And as a result of tripping, congrats! You're the hero now. So that could have been anybody. And a lot of people were there whom it could have been, too. Yes, once upon a time, in the ancient proverbs of our people, it was foretold there would be a trip. Which, okay, in fairness, I can see some settings actually pulling that off, but still. That's my point, Evo. That's why, while you can have your preference on this, and that's fine, and you can tell me I'm dumb, stupid, ugly, and worthless, and that's also fine, I don't find anything particularly unwieldy about it being Hawk versus it being anybody. Because there's no difference. Especially since Hawk had a reason to be here. Oh god, Sarah would be worse. Yeah, let's hope. That's... Oh god. She'd be like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Why not? Because it's funny. You're not gonna close the rifts into the demon world because it's funny. Yeah! Well, you got a problem with it? And then they kill Sarah.
Battery up!
Ogren, no! I suppose that's interesting. Interesting you put it that way, because I do fundamentally disagree with that. To be clear, I don't have an interest in it being Hawk. I have an interest in making a better story. You know me. I have no goals here, other than the overall improvement of the narrative, which is why I suggested the Hawk idea to begin with. I don't know. Can you kill Sarah in this game? Uncertainty. Okay, so that's a no. I think we've done it. We've cleared the hinterlands as much as we can at the moment, with one notable exception. Let's go do that really quick. Currently, you cannot kill Sarah, my bad. Best use of a bad character I've seen. I first thought it was Liara, but give me a second to think about that.
Bandits ahead!
Where? Where? That's 7 miles down the road. We're here to rob you. She was right. She called it. If you say so, Evo. I disagree with your opinion, as you were fond of saying. That's a good question, Blue Fusion. I don't know. Yeah, Cassandra has the bug eyes thing going on. This music fits weirdly well, I'm gonna be honest. No, I'm...
Redcliffe Village. Just ahead.
I'm poking fun, Evo. No sorries! Whap! Hang on. I'm gonna ruin this book. Whap! No sorries. Zero tolerance. Damn it, Giga! You're making things worse. Well, let's see if we can go into Redcliffe.
Off limits. There's been too much fighting between Templars and mages. Take it elsewhere.
We're not here to cause trouble.
Apparently you won't even respond to me. Can I at least make camp up here? No, Croatia. I've already wasted far too much time doing stupid, pointless things to actually do content twice. Well, I was hoping for like a warp point up by Redcliffe. That would have been nice. Apparently not. I believe that's all of the zone that we know how to do right now. These rifts are too high level for us. That whole area is too high level for us. We can't get into Redcliffe. That's bugged. That's required. That's bugged. Or no, sorry, that we're never doing. That requires another zone. This is something we're waiting on Vivienne. I think we did it. I think we have done as much of the hinterlands as we are capable of doing right now. And I'm phrasing it that way very specifically, because we're not actually done with the hinterlands. Of course, Redcliffe is a goddamn thing. Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! Oh, God. Hang on, that was, 7 hours and 42 minutes of the hinterlands. Pretty sure we did, Mad Overlord. Can I just, like... Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. I have given in to the despair demons. But now we're home. We made it. Yeah, let's get some home music here. Let's see here. Where's some good home music? That'll do. Yeah, hit me up, Ross. What do you got? Is it because I'm dumb, stupid, and worthless and I deserve to die? So I got you covered on that one, man. The answer is yes, yes, and yes, respectively. Except the world seems to disagree. I don't deserve to die. I deserve to keep suffering forever. So that's just my life now.
Can you really put a price on the love of Andraste?
Yes. $1.50. Was Tashiera a good character? No. Hang on. Let me ask you a bonus follow-up question, Lune Ruth. Was Worf a good character in Season 1? Just in Season 1. How about Crusher? Was she a good character in Season 1? Yeah, I was gonna say, name a good character in Season 1! Even Picard and, like, Data and Riker, the big three of TNG, were not particularly good characters in Season 1. Ugh. Just give me a sec. I'm legitimately just resting my eyes for a moment. Every now and again, I just need to let the fatigue wave pass. You know what I mean? Okay.
You here with the scouts instead of bobbing around with nobles anyway?
I mean, let's be real. The hinterlands are not actually behind me. Was Tashiara a good character in yesterday's Enterprise? I would say leaning that way. She was obviously just a guest star, but yeah. I mean, that's true, Linnea, but to be totally blunt, the same could be said about a lot of characters in a lot of fiction. Including every other character I just mentioned from TNG Season 1. Like Crusher and Troy and Riker and Picard and blah blah blah. So I'm not disagreeing with you, Linnea. I just don't think... Well... that means anything, I guess, for like a better way to put that.
So,
God, what are we wearing?
Now that Cassandra's out of earshot, are you holding up all right? I mean, you go from being the most wanted criminal in Thetis to joining the armies of the faithful.
Yep, because I'm Hawk.
Would have spread that out over more than one day.
I don't even want to think about how many lives were lost on that mountaintop.
A lot of good men and women didn't make it out of there. For days now, we've been staring at the breach, watching demons and Maker knows what fall out of it. Bad for morale would be an understatement. I still can't believe anyone was in there and lived.
If it was that bad, why did you stay? Cassandra said you were free to go.
I like to think I'm as selfish and irresponsible as the next guy, but this... thousands of people died on that mountain. I was almost one of them. And now there's a hole in the sky. Even I can't walk away and just leave that to sort itself out.
It's pure luck that I escaped.
Good luck or bad? You might want to consider running at the first opportunity. I've written enough tragedies to recognize where this is going. Heroes are everywhere. I've seen that. But the hole in the sky... that's beyond heroes. We're going to need a miracle.
It's fine. Someone will chop my arm off and we'll be cool. Yeah, you'd think the same thing about us, Evo. You think Ro was a good character?
Master Harry said that without
Your kind killed the most holy. Lies. Your kind let her die. Shut your mouth, mate!
Enough!
Knight Captain.
That is not my title. We are not Templars any longer. We are all part of the Inquisition.
And what does that mean exactly?
Do you?
Back already, Chancellor. Haven't you done enough?
I'm curious, Commander, as to how your Inquisition and its herald will restore order as you've promised.
Of course you are. Back to your duties, all of you.
Oh, no doubt, Warcraft code. He really is the obstinate bureaucrat of this particular one. What is this? Which one? This one or the previous song, Blade Javal? Because I can answer both those questions. Is it the fact that the British government sucks? No, not that it sucks. That it sucks. It's that bad. What do you mean, Shiny Toki? You can play it in whatever order you want to. Although the game really wants you to do Redcliffe first.
So if we get better
really wants me to do this. Sure. Did I get rid of it? Okay, how about this? Oh my god, why is this quest on my frickin' map still? Go away, quest. Oh, okay, so I recommend doing the Shale DLC and Soldier's Peak DLC as soon as you can, for various reasons. Then play through all of Origins. Then I recommend doing Awakening, and then not doing Golems of Amgarok, and then doing Witch Hunt last. That's my recommended order. It's like I can't modify anything. Oh yeah, I always forget Return to Ostagar as a DLC. I usually wait on that until quite far in, but that depends on spoilery stuff, so you can do that whenever the hell you want to. And you can do Darkspawn Chronicles whenever you want to. It's a complete Elseworlds. It has nothing to do with anything. You should probably do it after Origins, though.
No circle mages ever caused anything like the breach.
Oh god, I don't know, Wicked Claw. I don't want to be in charge of an organization without the power to back it. That's just going to lead to the same thing that happens to every other organization in human history.
Mages and Templars were already at war. Now they're blaming each other for the Divine's death.
Which is why we require a proper authority to guide them back to order.
Who? You? Random clerics who weren't important enough to be at the Conclave.
The Rebel Inquisition and its so-called Herald of Andraste? I think not.
I don't believe I'm Andraste's herald any more than you do, Chancellor.
That laudable humility won't stop the Inquisition from using the misconception when it suits them.
The Inquisition claims only that we must close the breach or perish.
You say that now, Commander. We shall see if the sentiment remains true.
Look, I just want to conquer the world, okay?
The Mages and Templars are fighting, even though we don't know what really happened at the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
Exactly why all this should be left to a new divine. If you are innocent, the Chantry will establish it as so.
Or we'll be happy to use someone as a scapegoat.
You think nobody cares about the truth? We all grieve Justinian's loss.
But you won't grieve if the Herald of Andraste is conveniently swept under a carpet.
7 hours, RRC. We spent 7 hours in the hinterlands.
Remind me why you're allowing the Chancellor to stay?
Clearly, your Templar knows where to draw the line.
He's toothless. There's no point turning him into a martyr simply because he runs at the mouth. The Chancellor's a good indicator of what to expect in Val Royeaux, however.
How widespread is the violence between mages and Templars?
Impossible to say.
Your organization flouting the Chantry's authority will not help matters.
With the Conclave destroyed, I imagine the war between mages and Templars is renewed with interest.
Well, let's hope we find solutions, and not a cathedral full of chancellors.
The stuff of nightmares.
Mock, if you will. I'm certain the Maker is less amused.
Doesn't exist. Maybe.
For them the golden city, the center of all creation. And
Researcher Minave wishes to verify that the infections have decreased in number.
Yes. Thank you for your help. Tell me, are you happy this way? With everything you feel and dream cut away?
I no longer talk to dragons.
I see. Maker, go with you.
Well, there's someone who's not a person. All right.
Greetings, Herald of Andraste. How fares your quest to seal the breach?
Ah!
Well, you know how these things go. At least, I hope someone does.
You love to bring a little light into the darkness, and I'm glad to see it. Too many see laughter as antithetical to the chant of light. They imagine Andraste as a grim warrior all her life, forgetting that she loved and was loved in return. I hope she found time for laughter during her trials, as I hope you do.
I thought I made it clear that I'm not the Herald of Andraste.
I understand. Whatever you believe, there remains a task to be done. If the faith of the people is nothing but a tool, then I beg you to use it well. We will all perish if you do not. In any case, I pray this Inquisition proves less brutal than its predecessor.
What?
Do you know who the Grand Clerics will choose as the next Divine?
It is a difficult decision. All the obvious candidates perished with Divine Justinia at the Conclave. The Grand Clerics are terrified of the Inquisition. They will not decide soon, and I fear they will not decide wisely. Whoever is chosen needs the Inquisition's support. No one else seems likely to seal the breach.
How are the people doing after what happened at the Conclave?
They are scared, of course. Many have lost homes or loved ones. I doubt many will sleep well until you have sealed the breach. I have offered what help I can. The rest is for the Inquisition. What more do you wish to know?
Do you have information on people elsewhere?
The refugees in the hinterlands are desperate. Without help, starvation or war will claim many lives. Villagers in Crestwood are besieged by their own dead. They have sent word begging for assistance. People are vanishing in the hills of Emprise de Lyon. It may be demons or something worse, but they are terrified. More than that I cannot say. It is a chaotic time for all in Olay and Ferelden.
What are you doing to help these people?
My sisters and I have been tending to the injured as best we are able. Some refugees come with food, while others arrive empty-handed. I have helped ensure that all have enough to eat. Beyond that, many simply wish the familiar comfort of the Chant of Light. It is little enough work to offer some comfort to those in pain.
Farewell.
Make her go with you.
And to make it clear, Blade Taval, Braegon is correct. I'm just getting hit by a bit of a fatigue wave right now. Mea culpa.
When there was no sky maker, you were the...
The Inquisition cannot remain, Ambassador, if you can't prove it was founded on Justinia's orders.
This is an inopportune time, Marquis. More of the faithful flock here each day. But allow me to introduce you to the brave soul who risked his life to slow the magic of the breach. Sir Trevelyan, may I present the Marquis d'Aurelion, one of Divine Justinia's greatest supporters.
And the rightful owner of Haven. House d'Aurelion lent Justinia these lands for pilgrimage. This Inquisition is not a beneficiary of this arrangement.
This is the first I've heard of Haven having an owner outside the Chantry.
My wife, Lady Machin of Denerim, has claimed to Haven by ancient treaty with the monarchs of Ferelden. We were honored to lend its use to Divine Justinia. She was a woman of supreme merit. I will not let an upstart order remain on her holy grounds.
People have been injured. You can't just turn them out onto the snow.
And who benefits if they stay?
Divine Justinia, Marquis. The Inquisition, not the Chantry, is sheltering the pilgrims who mourn her.
Why is the Chantry ignoring the faithful?
Because it remains in shock. We
Love
face
you.
a dark time, Your Grace. Divine Justinia would not want her passing to divide us. She would, in fact, trust us to forge new alliances to the benefit of all, no matter how strange they might seem.
I'll think on it, Lady Montilyou. The Inquisition might stay in the meanwhile.
Do the Durelians actually have a claim on this place?
His Grace's position is not so strong as he presents it. Despite their Ferelden relations, the Durelions are Orlesian. If the Marquis wishes to claim Haven, Empress Selene must negotiate with the Ferelden on his behalf. Her current concerns are a bit larger than minor property disputes.
Look, do you know me, Ikiclaw? So, this is a great introduction scene, by the way. Josephine here is so... you notice how they establish that, right? She walks up, she slams down hard, first thing. But then, after the guy is reeling from her reaction, that's when she reaches out the bow. Excuse me. It's like, hey, maybe we should work with this. This isn't what she wanted. Yada yada. He also pricks his pride and his religious constitution in the process. She knows exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. I said this earlier, but we kind of have the Golden Advisory Board as the Inquisition. It's one of the things I find funniest when it comes to this whole sequence. The whole game. We aren't just lucky for having the damn thing in our hand. We're lucky by having access to them. These advisors are the reason the Inquisition succeeds. Period.
I'm so pleased the Marquis isn't tossing us out into the cold.
His Grace is only the first of many dignitaries we must contend with.
You expect more people in Haven?
Undoubtedly. And each visitor will spread the story of the Inquisition after they depart. An ambassador should ensure the tale is as complimentary as possible.
And that would be your job. Also, let's go have sex. What? No, just sex. Let's go. Look at my pecs. Let's go have sex.
May I ask what brought you to work for the Inquisition?
Sister Leliana approached me. We've been acquainted for quite some time. For better or worse, being the Inquisition's diplomat has become as interesting as she promised.
And yeah, it's worth noting, we could tell Divine Justinia was already building the Inquisition. I was already gathering together this advisory board. It's just, now, by luck, they happen to also be ours.
What sort of dealings have you had with nobility?
For some years, I was the royally appointed court ambassador from Antiva to Orlais. The nobility of Thedas is a rather singular sphere. Those I'm not acquainted with, I know through reputation.
The Inquisition is lucky to have you as an advocate, Lady Montdidier.
Thank you. Let us hope so. Thedas's politics have become agitated as of late. I hope to guide us down smoother paths. But please excuse me. I've much work to do before the day is done.
Yet to put this in very simple terminology, Josephine would work circles around Enora. And honestly, most of the politicians we've seen in this series.
You're the Herald. Or, well, the one they're calling the Herald, anyway. It's odd to see them accepting a mage as their hero. First, we're too dangerous to let out of the circles. And then we're apostate rebels. But they seem to like you. My name is Maeve. I research demons and other creatures. Seeker Pentagast and I use what I find to help the soldiers fight them.
I found something the demons left behind. Can you use it?
Yes, that's very helpful. Just leave it there and the Tranquil and I will examine it.
Oh.
Hello? Can I help you with something?
You said Cassandra has you researching creatures.
Yes. If you find anything interesting in your travels, I'd appreciate you bringing it to me. I may be able to find some weakness our soldiers can exploit when fighting various creatures. At the least, some materials are useful for making potions or gear for the Inquisition.
Why did you decide to research dangerous creatures?
I like the outdoors. The idea of the outdoors, anyway. When some monster is coming at you, glowing eyes and burning claws, it's terrifying. But once you know how it works, you can deal with it. It's just another part of the world. So much of this world is only frightening because we don't understand it.
Ain't that the truth?
You said you were a mage?
No, just an apprentice. I was a year or so from my harrowing, at least. The enchanters were being kind. I was never very good at magic. A I've got just enough talent to be a danger to other people. But when the mages rebelled, people like me had nowhere to go. The Templars would have killed us. Luckily, Seeker Pentagast took me in, along with the Tranquil I was protecting.
I'm surprised that even an apprentice mage wouldn't join the rebellion.
I don't like using magic to fight. I'm not good at it either. I liked studying. I liked performing rituals that helped us unlock the secrets of the Veil. I liked having the Templars around to keep us safe.
A pity the Templars now want to see us all dead or made tranquil.
The problem is not that there are angry people on both sides. The problem is other people listening to their anger. I was born into a Dalish clan. I lived there until my magic manifested. The Dalish cannot risk having too many mages in one clan. And I was one more than they could bear. They gave me a pack and sent me into the woods to find my own life. I was 7 years old.
No wonder you'd rather stay in the circle. You had more than enough life outdoors.
I stumbled into a village, starving and cold, a few weeks later. I started using magic to scare predators away. The villagers saw me make fire in my fist. They were terrified and wanted to kill me. Templars saved me from them. They gave me food and clothes and took me to the circle. I've seen what life is like without the Templars, and I want no part of it. I just want to study.
You said that you were keeping some of the Tranquil safe?
Yes. The mages took some of them when my circle rebelled, but the rest were forgotten. You know how the circle mages saw the Tranquil. They're just there to enchant items and keep the floors clean. They don't have any emotions. They can barely take care of themselves, can't defend themselves at all. It's a shame. I like them better than most people.
I'm glad they have someone who cares about them.
They deserve better. They're polite, they're rational, and they'll never get angry at you. When they study, they have a focus no normal person could ever match. But the Templars, even some of the mages, mistreated them just because they could. The Tranquil never fought back. If not for that, I don't know. Doesn't really matter now.
I'll speak with you later.
Travel safely. Hello? Can I help you with something?
Apparently not.
I'll speak with you later.
Travel safely.
I should go. Game? There we go.
Yes. Good.
A learned child is a blessing. Upon his parents and on
We now have access to missions. They have quite a few on the map,
to do
too.
with fairness. We simply can't accommodate them if they bring that many servants.
I will speak to the Duchess. She can be reasoned with, after a fashion.
Why are we... Hold on. Well, let's do this one, obviously. I was thinking the same thing, Blatable. So we have a few missions unlocked. Let's make sure this works correctly, shall we? the Watchtower's built. We've had... Oh, yeah. Let me go ahead and mention something that I remember negatively, and we need to debate this. And after that, I think I might cut off early, because this fatigue wave is not going away. The game hides an extraordinary amount of lore behind the war table. On the plus side, that means there's some good, interesting, fascinating story in the war table. In fact, the overwhelming majority of follow-through quests from Dragon Age Origins and 2 are on the war table missions. On the downside, all that story's in the table. In an interface that's actually irritating and frustrating to read, just to add a little bit of frustration on top of everything else there. Also, this is very walkthrough-itis-y, because a lot of these chain or branch, depending on who you send, one, or where, or whatever, and all of that sucks. I'm not even talking about the war table itself. We'll talk about the war table in just a second. We got Zevran is here. We see some Alistair stuff. Even little stuff. Even little connections to the previous games. You could kill off your own Dalish clan. Again, that's 3 games in a row where you can just wipe out a whole Dalish clan. Sebastian's part of this stuff. Like, all kinds of story threads are tied up in the war table. And that's a decision. You know? What I feel like is that probably should be possibilities of positives for the story itself, but negative for the presentation thereof, the storytelling mechanic, if you will. Now, oh yeah, no, there's a lot. We'll actually get to see all of it because we're using a mod to make the war table times 0, which brings us to the war table itself. So there's no defending the war table. Even the biggest defense I've ever heard for the war table is it's a neat thing to be able to fire away and then, you know, go to sleep. And then wake up the next day and have quests finished. But the problem is the only possible argument for making that a decent thing, in other words, that you want to pause the game and have the game keep progressing while you're off camera, isn't really a good positive, because even ignoring my specific situation, which is reviewing for 10 hours a day, plenty of individual circumstances of individual people are not going to lend themselves towards being unable to play the game because you're waiting for the war table to do stuff. Because there's side quest stuff that you get from the war tables, there's crafting ingredients and items and decor you get from the war table, but then there's also substantial lore, as we just talked about, and actually relevant story to the war table. And then there's the fact that in some cases, actual quests are locked behind the war table. So in some cases, in the worst cases, you can actually be prevented from playing the game, and you have to put the game down and walk away from it to be able to physically progress through the game. That's terrible. Almost every companion quest has that problem with it. This makes absolutely no goddamn sense. Not even in an MMO does this really make sense. This is much more likely to be something that was demanded by the investors and or the executives, because this has all the hallmarks of spend real money to speed up. This is default, template, textbook example of the kind of mechanics that mobile games tend to use in order to try and coerce people into spending additional money on the game. This thing will be finished in 24 hours, but for 12, lore coins, you can finish it right now. Most of those games even have a tutorial for that kind of thing. It's just, obviously, that sucks, but in this case, it sucks even more, because there is no way to spend real money to speed the goddamn thing up. Oh, Jesus, Lord Harriman. Yeah, there's no defending this. It's garbage top to bottom. The only question here is how many negatives we give this. Because, obviously, we're using a mod to bypass this entirely, which the game gets absolutely no credit for. Because, that reminds me, we need to give another negative to Inquisition for being mod hostile. One of the most mod hostile games I've ever seen in my life. I have seen MMOs and multiplayer focused games that are less mod hostile than this crap. Three negatives, if I'm being very blunt, is the minimum here. I don't think you could argue me below 3. I cannot imagine a universe in which this is not 3 negatives. To be honest, I was thinking we could go up from 3. Because 3 negatives is for the fact that it's a time gate with absolutely no method to bypass unless you were doing stuff outside of the game itself. You know, like fiddling with your clock or using a mod like we're going to do. Time gating content like this is almost never going to be a good thing. Especially if it comes to this kind of time gating, which is an hour, or 2, or 8, or 12, or 14. Imagine a video game in which you cannot progress a quest because there's a clock ticking in the background that needs 14 hours to progress. Apparently there's 24 ones. No, that's triple negative. No argument. The question is, do we go above triple negative? Because this is insanity. How do you go above 3? Well, the time gating itself, the mere fact that the war table involves a real-time timer, that's triple negative by itself. But then the fact that it can lock out certain parts of the map, the fact that it can lock you out of companion quests, the fact that you can lock it out of main quests, that's additional. That's on top of the 3. Now that's why the question for me here is, how many additional negatives do we pile on top of this other than the initial 3? Because of course it deserves the initial 3. I think you're right, Daxieth, but don't quote me on that. Like, this is... I guess my overall point here is this is a bad idea implemented badly, and that's not great. You also miss out on a tremendous quantity of the game if you don't do the war table. Alright, well then I will acquiesce to that point, Lord Haramont. So... Hello, Drunk Hunman. Well, we are done with the hinterlands, totally, and we're never going back ever, ever, ever. I should stop memeing on that. I'm making the situation worse. I apologize. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give it 87 negatives. I'm joking. Well, I don't know what my opinion is on that Drunk Huntman, because I'm not done reviewing him yet, so we'll see. So far, Dragon Age Origins scored better than 2, which I know is shocking. I'll hydrate in a minute. Okay, fine. Yeah, I asked a question in my Discord last night. So I knew all along that Dragon Age 2's direct competitor was Mass Effect 1, and I was right. For a lot of the same reasons, both behind the scenes and in terms of the implementation of the gameplay and some of the story axes and blah, blah, blah. Some of the story aspects, excuse me. I'm tired. So, the question becomes, what is Inquisition's direct competitor? What do you think the game is that is most likely to be the... In racing terms, who is fighting for position with Dragon Age Inquisition? I cannot imagine this will do as badly as Mass Effect 3. I mean, I'll eat those words if I'm wrong. Well, vanilla. Ouch! I am not a fan of WoW Vanilla. The nicest way I can put that. That's all I'm going to say about it. I've discussed it for literal years at this point. Not going to rehash that for the 70 hyperbillionth time. Cyberpunk I could see. I don't know. I could see Cyberpunk. Unfortunately, we have not reviewed Andromeda, so I have no idea where that lands. This could also be a direct competitor to Dragon Age 2. Yeah, I remember when they were trying to compete with Witcher 3. Ha ha ha. I suppose that is the valid answer. The direct competitor to Inquisition could be 2. It's a naked picture of us, Warcraft Code. That's what he's staring at. Yeah, Oblivion is another one. I saw you mention that, Blade Troll, and it's a good idea. Dragon Age 2 or Oblivion. The question is, where the hell is Inquisition going to be on that scale? Because that's a pretty big gap between those two games. That's my goal, Warcraft Code. Salad as far as the eye can see. That's true, Blade Travel, but that's not really what I meant. What I mean when I say who's its direct competitor is, what is the game most like it that the game is going to be fighting neck and neck in the... Like I said, think about the racing analogy. Here's Dragon Age Inquisition, and it's way behind, right? It's not even in striking distance of like Diablo 3 or Baldur's Gate 3 or anything up there, right? When you're back here in the pack, you're not thinking about the people up in front. You're thinking about the people around you, the people who you're fighting for position. So who are you fighting for position back here as Dragon Age Inquisition? Who are you trying to beat in terms of overall score? Who's in striking range, right? That's what I meant. Dragon Age 2 is not a bad answer to that. Neither's Oblivion. It's just I'm just clarifying my point there. I think that's it. I think we will go ahead and give 5 negatives for the war table. Or miraculously, 3 negatives, 1 negative, and 1 negative for the separate mechanics there. I think that's acceptable. I've been chewing on this for several minutes, obviously, as Cullen has just been staring at this. And I think that tracks. If it's not obvious, I am extraordinarily against the war table. The mere fact that this kind of timer mechanic exists by itself in the game is a colossal negative. The fact that there is substantial meat content which is locked behind it is one of the other negatives, and I was debating that being a second negative. And the fact that there is no mechanism within the game in order to bypass this timer, which functionally leads to the fact that you have to just walk away from the game in certain circumstances in order to keep playing it. That's the fifth negative. So it's 3 for the timer, 1 for the content locking, and 1 for the fact that there's nothing you can do about it other than, you know, adjusting the game like we are doing with the mod. I think 5 tracks for me on that. All right. And yeah, as I said, this is the weirdest goddamn thing to do, too. Because the only thing that makes sense to me, and I could be completely wrong on this, the only thing that makes sense to me here is that they wanted this to be a mobile game mechanic. They wanted to go ahead and have a mechanic where you spend real money to speed this stuff up. And that was axed for whatever reason, which is fine. But here we are. You know? Hard in Hightown 3, Varric's Revenge. Yeah. Alright, whatever. Let's back away from this. I mean, that's how those kind of production cycles work. You're ordered to do something, and that doesn't, like, prevent you from not doing it worse. I don't know, I'm explaining this badly. But anyways, let's go ahead and save. I'm going to go ahead and chop off a little early. I'm only about half an hour early, so I'll take that for what it's worth. I'm going to go lay down. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll go back to the hinterlands.